We wish to speak of a condition that has troubled humanity for millennia. That is the struggle you feel within your own physical body as you navigate life. There was a time on this planet when humanity held a more balanced and enlightened perspective about what it means to be in the body. There was a greater understanding that the body is the most important component of realizing your divine nature while in the earth plane, that it is the foundation of the entire human experience. Common sense will tell you the same thing. After all, you cannot experience the third-dimensional earth plane without being in a body. However, humanity is very good at surrendering common sense before the altar of ideology, and it is the ideology of spiritual transcendence that has caused humanity to dismiss the body as an unnecessary component of spiritual awakening. Many of you even see it as a hindrance to your awakening. This is a mistake. To explain, let's go back to the beginning. When the human experience on earth was breathed forth into existence by all that is, several foundation elements were put into place. They include 1. The power of human thought and emotion to continuously create the physical world in which you exist. 2. Personal choice and free will to direct your creative capacities anywhere you desire, including how you use your body to create, work, and find pleasure. And 3, an inner knowing that there is truly no separation between the higher dimensional realms of spirit and the 3D realm of human existence. In the early days of humanity's collective sojourn on Earth, that inner knowing was much stronger than it has been in more recent times. Consequently, the totality of human experience was inherently more integrated with spiritual consciousness. In other words, humans lived their lives in the physical with a deeper understanding that the body is a vehicle in which spirit can have a more limited experience. That is, third-dimensional versus higher-dimensional. And you understood that this vehicle is necessary for spirit to co-create as a denser level and experience the expansion of choosing the higher-dimensional reality from that more limited perspective. This expansion from lower vibration to higher vibration through the power of personal choice is the very essence of the earth experience. It is why you are here. It is the meaning of human life. And it is why all other life on the earth plane exists. Over time, humanity lost this awareness. Your inherent divinity became buried further and further in your understanding of who you are and why you are here through humanity's lower vibration choices. You can think of this as the dumbing down of consciousness. Although enlightened way-showers have continuously embodied to remind you to look up and choose higher consciousness, humans like the Buddha, Jesus, and many others who are not quite as well known, the purity of their message has seldom survived their own lifetimes. Humanities operating from a limited view of who they are and what is possible have consistently misinterpreted and distorted the simple teachings of the enlightened ones. Over time, this distorted understanding of divine truth has been institutionalized, ritualized, and ingrained into almost every nook and cranny of society. Unfortunately, this includes the doctrine that the body is profane rather than sacred, and that therefore the path to God requires denying the physical body. Dear friends, you have been misled. Sometimes the deception was intentional, stemming from a desire by those with worldly power to suppress and control, and sometimes it was unintentional, the result of an honest inability to grasp the truth of the human experience, coupled with a sincere desire to lead others closer to God. In either case, the result is a dysfunctional system that devalues the human body as something profane, something that must be overcome if one is to realize one's divine nature. Many people have experienced a degree of awakening to higher consciousness in today's world. The decline of the church is evidence of this. Although it is a source of dismay to those who remain invested in more limiting ways of relating to God, the church's decline signals a return to the more expanded consciousness that was present in the early days of human existence. And yet, having spent eons in a more limited consciousness, humanity struggles to throw off the yoke of those lower vibration teachings. Even among spiritual seekers who are thriving to realize a direct relationship with God, the limited understanding remains strongly embedded in the collective consciousness. This dichotomy has led many in spiritual communities to equate the attainment of spiritual ascension with transcendence of the physical body. And because of the many lifetimes you have spent steeped in a worldview that the body is profane, This programming exists in your very DNA, right alongside the biological codes that define your physicality, both form and behavior. What we want humanity to understand at this time is that the body is not something to be conquered or cast aside in your pursuit of oneness with God. Your body is indeed the temple of your living spirit, designed by Spirit to be the perfect vehicle for your earthly sojourns. As such, it should be honored for the service it provides in its totality, including the apparent flaws and the desires you judge to be negative. We can illustrate this once again using simple common sense. You would not plan a cross-country journey by car and then spend the whole way complaining about the car or insisting that you reach your destination without it. You wouldn't say, "This car that is transporting me is bad, and I will only arrive at my destination once I have overcome my need for the car." That's just plain silly. We can also illustrate it through spiritual wisdom. If you are constantly struggling to transcend your physical body, that which was designed by God as the perfect vehicle for your earthly journey, then you stand in judgment of this most sublime creation and of the human experience itself. Judgment, as you know, is a low vibration feeling that takes one further away from the vibration of love, the vibration of all that is. Therefore, if you are unwilling to accept the human experience in the physical body, there can be no full alignment with all that is. Even if transcending the body were the goal, you could not accomplish that so long as you remain in a vibration of judgment and resistance to the body. Simply put, to judge yourself in any way is to limit your awareness of your own divinity. Many will say, but the body experiences passions and desires that are not godly. Oh, really? We say that is a limiting belief that you have adopted along the way, most likely from your parents and the church. Let's examine that belief through both common sense and spiritual logic at once. Why would a benevolent, loving God create a biological vessel that is capable of experiencing tremendous physical sensations and is hardwired to experience a deep longing for those sensations, only to make that experience something you must avoid in order to find God? That is dysfunctional and not what an all-loving God would do. You may say, well, God is testing our faith and resolve. No, friends, that's not how it works. As a parent who loves your children more than anything, you would not buy them the toy of their dreams, allow them to play with it once, and then put it up on a high shelf and say, "You will experience my love once you can overcome your desire to play with the toy." That is dysfunctional parenting at best. These beliefs exist in humanity because you have been raised in dysfunctional systems and been given beliefs that seem paradoxical. Many who are on an intentional spiritual path divide all worldly experiences into sacred and profane, and then you spend your lives caught up in the struggle between the two, trying to home in on what God wants so that you can transcend the physical experience. You desire the joy of uninhibited sexual expression, but you believe it is an affront to God. You seek the uninhibited feeling of intoxication, but you call it the work of the devil. You crave a meal you judge to be unhealthy, but you worry that it will defile the purity of your body. Friends, all of this is nothing more than a misunderstanding of what God wants. As we have said many times, the earth plane is intentionally designed to be an experience of free will. Therefore, God wants what you want. But God hopes that what you want is thought, feeling, and expression that is of a high vibration. That's the only standard you need to hold yourself to when contemplating any activity. Ask yourself what is driving you. Is it fear or love of both yourself and others? The key to a joyful life in the physical body is to allow for all possibilities while choosing those that bring you most into alignment with love. And here's the kicker. It will be different for each person. That's right. There is no one-size-fits-all in spirit. You are all the sum total of numerous lifetimes in the physical body, each one of you having had countless experiences that have shaped who you are in this moment of now. And each one of you has a physiology that is totally unique from anyone else. Thus, you are all energetically and physically completely unique, and thus it makes sense that what appeals to one would not appeal to another. Taking this further, what brings one into alignment with divine love might actually inspire fear in another. That's just the way it is in the earth plane. Despite these truths, humanity spends so much time and energy trying to fit everyone into the same box. This not only makes you angry, depressed, and fearful, it limits the unlimited possibility of choice inherent in every moment. Drop your judgment of self and others and open up to infinite possibility. Yes, there are behaviors that may bring you temporary joy, but will harm your body if you do them over and over again. There is such a thing as too much of a good thing. But if you always trust your inner guidance, that still small voice, and choose the action that aligns most with the divine love, you cannot go wrong. When facing a choice of whether to do this or that, take a few moments and a few breaths, drop your consciousness into your body, and ask what is your truth. Say you have chosen to stop eating meat as a spiritual discipline. Then a friend calls and invites you to go try the new hamburger restaurant everyone is raving about. As a former meat eater and lover of a good hamburger, you might find yourself really drawn to say yes. But you made a vow to yourself and maybe to God because you decided that she wanted you to stop eating meat. Now you find yourself in a bind. Eating that burger would bring you a lot of enjoyment, but you worry that you're somehow cheating yourself and perhaps getting in the way of your own awakening. So what is the correct choice? Drop in, be fully present with your body, and say to yourself out loud, truth. Eating a burger tonight is in alignment with my highest good. Or, truth. Eating a burger tonight best supports my spiritual journey. Or something similar. The intent is more important than the exact words. Continuing to be fully present, feel what your body tells you. You may hear it inside as a yes or a no, or you may feel an upward or downward rush of energy in your solar plexus. Another option is to use muscle testing, which you can easily learn if you're not familiar with it. Or your knowing may present in some personal way. You'll know what is correct for you. And the more you practice, the easier it will be to receive the guidance quickly, without having to put forth much effort. Now when you do this, be prepared to be surprised at some of the answers you will receive. Your conscious mind may have already decided that eating the burger is a bad choice because of the beliefs you have adopted that led you to give up meat in the first place, while your higher self may inform you that having that burger is more in alignment with your path to awakening. Why? Because the conscious mind makes decisions based on judgment, and judgment is based on the interpretation of information. Often that information is presented to you as universal truth, and so you decide it must be true for everyone. It then becomes something that you aspire to fully embody with the expectation that will help lead you back to God. At that point, you tend to exclude the opposite as a possibility for yourself or for humanity. Very rare is the human soul who can accept something as personal truth without coming to the conclusion that it is also universal truth, that it must apply to everyone. With few exceptions, there is no right or wrong way on planet Earth. Vegetarianism is a path to the divine. So is omnivorous eating. And for that matter, so is not eating at all. Abstinence can help you realize that you are one with all that is, and so can abundant sexual expression. You came here to sample from the menu of choice and decide your own personal truth, and that truth may shift as you live and grow and experience life from new perspectives. This is indeed the great joy of the Creator in the human experience, and it can be your own joy if you allow it. Trust your inner guidance, the part of you that is never separate from the divine, for it will not let you down, even when the guidance seems to be different than what you expected. If you are guided to do something you previously judged to be not holy or spiritual, it could be that your definitions are too narrow and are actually slowing your awakening. Spirit may be challenging you to broaden your perspective and reconcile the seemingly opposite viewpoints. For that is indeed what true oneness is, the bringing together of seemingly disparate conditions. If you allow for all possibility, listen to your inner guidance, choose that which is right for your unique life path, and allow others to do the same without judgment, then you are truly drawing much closer to the heart of God. Again, you're creators with free will, and God does not judge what you create. God only hopes that you will choose conscious creation from a place of alignment with your own highest good, from love of self rather than fear, while allowing everyone else to do the same. Trust this inner allowance of possibilities. It will never lead you to bring harm to another or yourself. If you find yourself struggling with a clash over your own beliefs, send love to yourself. If you do something that feels right to you, and your higher consciousness tells you that it is right, but your beliefs tell you it is wrong, make the choice that your higher consciousness guides you to make. And if your beliefs lead you to feel negative emotions like shame or guilt, simply say in the moment, "I love me." Say it over and over until it becomes your dominant belief. Then you will know that you could never choose something that is out of alignment with that self-love, and therefore with the love of God. When humanity stops trying to force its will on one another out of some utopian vision of what it believes God wants, that is when humanity as a whole will draw closer to God than ever before. Surrender the belief that you will realize heaven on earth once you can sufficiently overcome the physical body and all of its longings. Give up your need for there to be one path to awakening that must be true for everyone. Your personal heaven reveals itself when you are able to be fully in your body, amid all of the wonderful facets of the human experience, and allowing for the multitude of experiences each human is drawn to, while making your own personal choices from a place of self-love. This is why you are here, friends, and this is how you will once again realize your unity with all that is. Allow for all of it, exclude none of it, and model love of self and others, even in the most trying circumstances. When tossed about by the seeming paradox, affirm, "I love me." This is all you can really control in your world anyway. Stop allowing those things that are beyond your control to define whether you can feel love. Our message has always been and will continue to be very simple. Choose love over fear, acceptance over judgment, compassion over anger, forgiveness over resentment. Do this with yourself and others, and allow others their own experience. For they are also seeking their unity with all that is, while in the body and in their own unique way. Love over fear. Love over fear. Model this in your own life, and be a beacon for others. We wish you blessings on your journey.